Díomh agus fáilteróid go scríomh Tá muid anseo an nocht chun leabhart faoin ceist a Gáire. Tá mé ansáasta ará go bhfuil panel ensemble a gwyn a nocht chun leabhart. So we have a really exciting panel here with us this evening. So I'll just introduce. We have Hilary Bowen Walsh. Hilary, are you there? Well to anseo?
Tommy and Sha.
Hi, Hilary Falter Rhodes.
Germaha. It's like the Rulla and Sha.
Tá sé ionach bhfuil tú anseáling agus tá Dennis Moore in leat freisin ó mumbrotá. Dennis bhfuil tú anseo?
Tá mé anseo freisin. Yes, tá mé anseo.
Agus comile sin, we have Joey Kavanagh. Joey, and tú anseo?
Yeah, tá anseo.
Hi, yes, anseo. That was our rule. Rose, buying with idir gá theanga and nocht gá theangach, so we'll be bilingual. So please, everybody, feel free to speak in English. Is féile é seo faoin Gaeilge ach níl aon brú ar aine Gaeilge úsáid. Bhí léirt le do level féin Jenkins compórach. So speak at your own level and make sure that you're comfortable the whole time. Mas bhfuil tú ag brathnú air bio ar Facebook. If you're watching with us live on Facebook, you can join the conversation. Tusa cuid den córach chomá, so cur ceistena aon rud síos an sin comments. Keep throwing stuff at us into the comments and join it in. And if you're in the audience, if you're watching live on Facebook, Mara Dirtmuid, is Cuma Munuil Gaeilge Agat Cuma. It doesn't matter if you have Irish either. You can put those questions and comments in English too, and we will be happy to answer them. And if you're watching later on YouTube, it's too late. We can't see them. We're not time travelers. Ní féidir le nation so tá bhrónarm. So lads, iniu tomid an seachan lesbi. Run, Andy, Ira, níos deachra, drama, no, scan on a dhéanamh atá granver, in Gaeilge, not in Imerla. Would you all agree? It's harder to make a comedy, theatre, film in Irish than it is in English. Or maybe it's harder to make a widespread, appealing one. What do we think?
Yeah, I would agree. I think so. I think like anything, I've been kind of reading a couple of books in translation recently that I've translated into English, and I've kind of become a little bit interested in, I suppose, the work that translators do, and because I think it must be very challenging sometimes, particularly with something the length of a book to try and capture the humor and the kind of wordplay, particularly some styles of writing, and wordplay is something I think that is a big basis of humor. And so I think if your vocabulary is limited, or if you're uncertain of your grammar, I think you're going to find it a little bit more tricky to kind of find those kind of puns or kind of funny figures of speech. So I suppose that's a little bit of a challenge with
Pán Changa a Cree and vibe. The language is absolutely at the heart of the problem. But it's not insurmountable, and I think we've all seen really, really funny work as Gaeilge agus Imerla. Hilary, cad a cheapan tusa tá tú, you are a comedy actress as well as a serious actress. Tá tú a gobar faoi láthair sketchin a beag atá granver. Bhfuil sé níos deachara ar dó leat? No, bhfuil sé díreach just níos deachara an look fé ceartáil.
Yeah, well, ag tosú a gheart, im a hóram pársanta féin, as we all learned with leaving cert, in my own personal opinion, is ceist himúla sin? That's an interesting question. So before we answer the question, a little preamble, I would actually refute the question entirely. I would say that it's not jacker or difficult. I would say that it's just different, you know. I have read, for example, on Bailbucht, The Poor Mouth by Flann O'Brien, which had me laughing out loud on an airplane. When it comes to theatre, I've seen a very serious play by Phoebe on Trio that has been shown at the Axis before many times as well, done with huge comedy. So I do think the range of possibilities in theatre is really fantastic in terms of the body that you can use, the voices. There are so many different ways to put the humor across, not limited to the language. But when it comes to the language itself in terms of puns and different things, of course, there is that block if you're not a native speaker or a fluent speaker. But at the same time, things come through, I think. And certainly I've seen a lot of pun work and wordplay in different comedy groups, for example, Gáire, who do sketch comedy. Who else? For example, Radio Romesh on the radio. And when it comes to theatre, one of the main, like the bread and butter of the Irish language theatre community would be the pantomime, the Gamracht, which we would see in Donegal, in Galway, everywhere, where the crowds come to laugh and enjoy that humour through Irish language theatre. The name of Forum.
No, it's Torm Intogation. I suppose Lahai look fekene nachwil muninach as the chuid gwelga fein. Beider gur muhin sheed go will relating granver ro jackardov. So, how do we kind of change that attitude? I suppose let's chat about that in a moment, because we haven't asked Dennis what he thinks. So Dennis, the Horum le the Hull.
Imma Hurum Parsanta. I mean, it's all coming back to me from 2009. Perfect. Yeah, so I mean, to follow on with Hilary's point, what I suppose the first thing is, like, maybe if we look at, like, if I look at maybe like just like how I became involved with Mumbo Top, it actually goes further back to when I was like studying theatre, and I would have done a lot of work around like the semiotics of theatre. So, like you were saying, like language is just one piece of it. Like there really are so many different things that we can use to create theatre. There's, you use your body, you can use your physicality, you could use lighting, you can use sound, whatever. But I think that maybe the overarching thing for me, having worked on Mumbo Top work for so long, is that like what people enjoy is familiarity. And ultimately we are familiar to each other. Like if you show me a scene in Spanish, I can recognize what's going on between the two people. You can recognize the scenario. Let's say it's like two people meeting on a date on a park bench. Like I'm immediately going to know from the situation what's going on. And then, the body can do a lot of the work for you, So I think that like, yeah, probably following on from Hilary's point, it's not that like it's easier or more difficult. It's just that the method of getting there is different. Like that's what I think the reality is of making Irish work in Ireland. Now, we're obviously in an unusual position in Ireland in the sense that like anyone who's been through the Irish education system has a knowledge of Irish. Like whether they know it, whether they want to admit it or not, like they do actually know some Irish, and it's so funny how, I think that like just being kind of like having Irish put in front of you actually can kind of give you an opportunity to understand something. So that's why I think the work that we make, any sort of Irish language makers make, is so important, because you're kind of putting the work in a place outside of an educational setting, which I think is so, so important. So yeah, so that's what I think, guys.
I think as well, there's huge value in, I suppose, in bringing humor to Irish, and I think part of the success of Irish more recently on the internet, and particularly I'm on Twitter a lot more than some of the other platforms. I'm sure it's big on TikTok as well, but I find that there's quite a lot of Irish memes now which are like seem to get really good traction. And even accounts like the Irish For, there's a lot of humor in what they do. There's a lot of humor in the work of Kneecap, like their music videos. There's a lot of physical comedy, and a lot of even in the lyrics of it, there's a lot of kind of tongue-in-cheek humor. The artwork they put out for their songs and for their albums, again, quite risky humor. And so yeah, I think there's huge value in terms of opening up Irish and making it more accessible by kind of imbuing it with humor.
Like ein team live kann mé rá like tá sé antáhachtach I mórm se agus san obair a genmuid in access a gcónaí ag an chrí ná caihamid an ghilge a chur chun cín tríd é bheith fun in áire. Mar a dúirt Dennis, tá an ceangalt an idir an ghilge agus an seomarainge. Agus le ha lán daoine fásta, páistí, dégóirí, níl siad ag éirí siúil siar go dtí an an áin. Níl siad a géirí smuoinú faoin seo mar range. Níor hatan sé lo agus de bhar sin níor hatan an ghilge lo. So tá sé uring an ghilge haspont dómh is slí nua. We need to present Irish to them in a new way, in an accessible way, and show them that it can be fun. But for a lot of people, it is daunting. So, Mara Dirtu Hillary, agus cúpla pointe ionach an sin, so Flann O'Brien Miles na Gopalín ag scríb in Gaeilge agus ag scríb go grambar in Gaeilge na blianta ó hin. Agus ag an am sin, bhí sé ag scríb nuachtán náisiúnta agus on sites word sin that type of you can imagine our Russell Carol Kelly that you get in the Irish Times on Saturdays, but it's in Irish. Just níl mu ag an level céine sin inis agus caiimiid iireachtaí of dullar as. So we're trying to get back to that point where that's how the Irish language is viewed. I really enjoyed what you said there, and true about an trial agus Mohium gomaimid ag kind faoi an trial a ríis agus an ríis an seachtain seo mar chuid de scríb mar le haid an formhór de díne is é an trial an tain drama gur bhaca siad or gur chunig siad in Gaeilge. It's the only Irish language theatre piece that they've seen for a lot of audiences. Now, maybe as younger children they've seen theatre for a young audience as Gaeilge, but for a lot of people they don't leave that comfort zone and they don't have that bravery or they worry it's going to be didactic or that kind of learning again. So an trial is so important. Is Queen Lumsa vesta show maranga agus Gáire an Scríobh or an trial freshen go harag na swear words. Mar ní ram maid sin swear words rolas in Gaeilge agus stelmar Honsheen bio Gael or Garrick on Honsheen. Yeah, we were all calling each other that for a while.
And Stríopach is a good
Stríopach is one I remember as well.
Yeah.
Molly.
Poor Moira. She got a hard time, guys. Like justice for Moira. Seogran ver rinnemer on trial in Mo Banskol. Le haid sais variety show a bhí aghain ó show talanna agus chumar siúil agus riamh an show a tháinig an príomh a dún agus dúirtí like ní féidir live an trial dhéanamh. And we were like, why? What do you mean we can't do on trial? And they were like, just we've decided the ending obviously is too depressing and no spoilers. Oh well, yes, spoilers, but I'm assuming you've all seen it. Fine, she boss token she a hail féin ag deire an drama tá sé an bhrónach agus duna lanamh near lig she'd doing Asian they wouldn't let us do that ending. So in our version of on trial that we performed in school, at the end she moved to America and had her baby and was really happy. So
very come to beam. I love it.
exactly. So just in glowert fui grin mar sin dóibh an bhfuil spás an chunaigh seo a chuir chun céin. Do we have the space to do this? Do we have artists that we think are going to put, and not just comedy mar tá is a gom gohfuil Gaeilgeára arás agus gohfuil comedy in a éonar, but that's already great and that's really coming to the forefront in Irish. But in terms of theatre and in terms of film, are we going to see more comedy as Gaeilge ar dóibh?
Is dóilam. I have to say just that story about an trial is dochreidse, really unbelievable very quickly. And not to brag, but I just finished reading Peg yesterday and tá sé had a bheith grúma, like it's an incredibly gloomy story, and the association that people have with Peg, there's a wonderful documentary up on the TG Cahir Player as well, is that, she was a Shan Van Vocht and she was, so depressed. She had a very sad life, that's true. But what people don't know about her is that she was full of stories. She was always, she was the Shanachie. People would come to her. People would travel to the island to hear all of these stories and these humorous things. So I think, even our approach of the language and these kind of stories is one perspective. I think definitely there's going to be a lot more space for Irish language films and online sketches and theatre that, you know, use the potential of that comedy, because I think we have such a strong association with Irish, with this kind of gloomy, depressing, famine, you know, no potato, whatever association like with the language. That's simply not true. We see it from Cuairt an Bhannaithe, you know, another fantastic piece of literature that's incredibly hilarious. So I think if you look at Finky, sorry, I'm just throwing out examples now. Mar Hampla is a good one to fill the bail Scríobh. Mar Hampla, this. But you know, you see with the fantastic film by Dermot the Fuiche, Finky, lots of humor there. Ruby, the short film by Louise Ní Ionach, the epic that starred Fionn Foley and Fionnuala Gigex and a plethora amount of other fantastic actors. And I could go on, because I do think there's many fine examples there. And when you look to theatre, you see Branner, who were doing fantastic work for early years and bringing in comedy as well, gently, you know, and you see Phoebe as well, who were just, you know, such a driving force within the industry in bringing that accessibility, as you said, like that, you know, especially for school going audiences, that might be the first and potentially the last point of contact they will have with the Irish language outside of an education system. So if we can make it, you know, tatnavach, you know, and appealing and granwer and spriu, like funny and light as well, all of these things are, you know, I just see the endless possibilities.
Hilary is bralamation eclectic. Féidir le labhairt ar fan nóméid faoimhar obair féin. So Hilary agus Dennis sibse mumbrotop, and will any eile mar chuid den grúpa, or is there anybody else who's part of Mumbrotop, or are you Mumbrotop?
Well, we are Mumbrotop Incorporated. I'm the CEO. No. So we're Mumbrotop. We have a rotation of different actors that we use quite a bit. We'd have Ailish Carey, we'd have Owen O'Doul, the sweetheart of Rustnaroon, and many more actors. And the work that we do typically is we like to go to rural areas, Gaeltacht areas that perhaps theatre companies might not go, or Irish language shows might not go, just to feed the communities that are there with something, as I said, like positive and uplifting. And at the moment, what we're working on, or we're releasing, is called Sketchamini. So that's kind of a pun on excitement. So sketch for sketch and Sketchamini. You know, if you have to explain it, it's not funny, but I said I'd do it anyways. And our aim basically is just to, you know, bring that physicality, bring that wordplay, bring the cultural references that we have, the familiarity that Dennis spoke about, the really human things, and bring them to audiences. And we're actually incredibly excited, you know, about the possibility with, you know, the negativity of COVID, to actually have a new method to make our work very accessible by putting it online, you know, and hitting a really large community, one that of course we wouldn't naturally hit if we were just touring. So that in itself is a positive.
Sin ionach agus ceapan go bhfuil tú a gceart le tá sé seo an grin agus granver ar grin agus gran in bhfuilge eáil go digitach ar an bhfuil aine an seo ar TikTok. No, tá golóir le feiceáil ar TikTok faoi láthair. Atá just ag granver, tá sé ag teacht ó daoine óga, tá siad ag leabhart in Gaeilge, tá siad úsad puns mar dúirtú, tá siad ag leabhart faoi just a hail agus iad ag úsad in Gaeilge. We've also got other great resources on TikTok too, like Kieran EA explaining the etymology of words. It's really exciting. But would you guys mind, live, if we share a little bit of your work now? Would that be all right with you guys?
Yeah, it is a Ballymun Access exclusive. Let's go.
Okay, Intalk is Funlum No Made. Well, we get this up, so we're going to have a look here. Seolin, agus tá muid chun é seo haspant an muisih sin an é sin na eáil lads?
Just the sound, not the image yet, for me.
Not the image yet. Let's try bear. Oh no, we'll give this another go, lads.
Just while you're setting that up, I suppose we could, oh, perfect.
Here we go. Tavroner, Shalin. And now we can't hear it.
Hi.
Third
Click
time's
on
lucky,
mute there.
guys.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Brilliant.
Alan, goeiemiddag. Heel corona behag nachel kote jasponertsa. Oren te biagler be kaitjes verstachte. Die leeft bij de kulkaher snachter lusje. Is alle gobi. Het beker na etje gestopt gepaast. Jena cheat shas gebiete son oor. Bij alons winnefik pasto wetch marschen. Kerde inje. Maar alle toshe alle kart. Bosra is gechtop. Peistre agus efk bioga. An Caroline with a stachart. There is Dini go will Ali Faradach. Neil, Howard Fladrach. Dawnchair. In a student for the hell romanza. The Gnomi Gachi in air nanner off a water head again. Oh, Kayla, Tanamatar. She boy which like Kayla go Joe is spare money. Be a cheer, get your meal and we're confession. Alamanala. Good GR hit Chlorella.
Enoch.
Cool bus more.
Massive. Brilliant. Wow. So handshake more lum. I have to say I enjoyed that, and I like that marder to tá antanga an tá sé vigúsad an punt tá sé vigúsad antanga ach tá sé physical tá sé vigúsad on medium of film chun bheith Granver. So bhfuil ein plan eile le haine cuid eile in is sketchimini nó ceir bhfuil I bragna with.
Yeah, so tá rins planning ang so tá couple keen eile fós le tachtamach. So we have many more coming out, and it'll be on a slow release basis in the next few months. So you can follow us. I guess this is a plug biog on Mumbro Top at Facebook. And unfortunately, we have yet to foray into any other social media, but we hope to remedy that very soon.
So at Mumbro Top on Facebook, and tá mé connection just Derek a Kirschis on video. On a school gocking and on Shiva all.
And
so
just one point on that as well with the video, something that I've noticed between Irish language learners and native speakers and anybody in between as well is what's great that we're hoping to encourage with these videos is that you can put the subtitles on in English, you can also put the subtitles on in Irish, and if you don't want to see any subtitles you can take them off, which is it is really lovely in terms of that accessibility.
Shin really on a difficult come on. Yeah, Shin Aintok, that's actually a really great idea because subtitles on YouTube aren't just about translation. There's so much more. Gohara Laidini atá visually impaired, blind, Karine she'd August Shin Aintok Shin English camera. So Joey just bought him last mate. So Joey too Fane August May Fane. We're kind of comedy fans, I would say. And we've been working for a while now. Believe it or not, I think since 2017, 2016, our crash test yeah, Misul in a will Mojigiri size Desh a Horkodini Akwid Wilga Usad Aktashi crack, Pinche Granver, Bin Kyolan, Erdola Idohorum on Cowrie and Shay, Nurta, piece of crack and piece of gran on Cowrie and Shay. Look fucking new at all? Does it help to get a new audience? Does it help to encourage people to come in? Does it make people more comfortable? Or
yeah, I think so. I mean, on Jacu an Goel and Gaelga Shan Aimstra. So there's like sometimes there's a view that there's kind of Irish is stuffy or kind of old-fashioned. And I mean, actually, Kieran A, who you mentioned there, did a really interesting piece recently for the Abbey as part of the Dear Ireland series, where she talked about being kind of queer and Gaeilgeoir and the intersection. And it was that she got it was interesting to see she got very negative comments and people downvoting her video and stuff, that because there's this perception that because she's a Gaeilgeoir that she should be sort of part of this very traditionalist sort of exactly. Whereas it's Irish is shifting and changing, and it's been really amazing to see. Particularly, I'm really fascinated by the impact that the internet has had on Irish and how it's continuing to evolve. And as you said, it's now on TikTok. I think you mentioned Ciara there, and also Una Ming. Kavanagh is doing great work on there as well. So I think anything you can do to sort of dismantle that sort of misconception, I think that Irish is kind of archaic and very serious and sorry. Tá Broner, Dirt May serious August Siri thought she was
Siri started comedy, natural comedy there, Joey.
We're a double act, me and Siri. So yeah, I think it's hugely important, and I think that I suppose that's one of the nice things about Crash Test Count is that there's a kind of a chaffoid. We have, it's a bit of a silliness, and we don't take it too seriously, and I think that helps people who are maybe a little bit less sure-footed in their Irish to kind of open up and to give it a go. So that we say just win three loss because so yeah, so that I think that is it's a key way to, I suppose, widen the access and to try and kind of make people feel like it's kind of approachable and accessible.
Ain't him left, yeah. I suppose just then Tomajic chat with Dara, but before we kind of wrap up, just to talk a little bit about Scríobh. So it's Mascon Scríobh. I'm not sure if it's quite a festival or a conference on Rudatá doing na Ober Oscuelga Kirkman Keen. For the most part, we want to really promote Irish language theatre work, but also Irish language artists working, you know, in terms of poetry, filmmaking, who are working in literature, but also to act as a support here for artists and to link maybe artists who are working on their own. They go in a einer, Nilisa will co-phobal amok an sin atag over Oscuelga co-mop, because we can be quite fractured. I think one of the great things about the Irish language theatre community is Neil sé fad I Blaclia, no I Kirkig, no tá sé scapi het timple na tira, agus tá sé sin iontoch, and I wish that the rest of the theatre community could be as well spread out across Ireland, and it didn't feel like it had to be centred in Dublin for people to make work or to do work. But economic that people don't always get to meet each other. They don't always get to know what else is happening in the community. And they don't always get to work with artists who are very like-minded because we are so spread out. So one of the things that we want from Scríobh, as I said, is to promote Irish language artists, to promote work that's coming up, but also to connect people and hopefully to create those links in that community. So Maswell Aina on Shah brand new or Shah, who's thinking, do you know what, you know, bwalum some oberfeini of Tom Scríobh drama agus tá sé co-gramver no Tom Genevieve Scríobh go gramver no Giars gone on no Cabay Road tá co-phobal. There is a community here and we're very keen in encouraging it. All this week I get loan, so 1 o'clock Tom with artist Kirkle Cora. It's a mixture between a Kirkle Cora and an artist circle, and it's just a Zoom. Bring your lunch, bring your cup of tea, sit in and chat with us and let us know what you're working on. Tamwina and Shach kun Aishlat kun insights taki up the ta'uf the hort dit, just to be there as the sounding board, someone to bounce ideas off, or maybe you'll meet someone who has the same interests as you, start a new company, who knows. So every day until Friday, just loan biggie lin tashi erfalig access ballymun.ie/whatson/shows. All. We have other events and panels coming up. Tomorrow night, Ifas Balan Hinks is presenting Access Loves Theatre. Le panel Intok of Sashina brand new on drama Isfarlo Oscuelga. They're looking back on the theatre that they really love that's been done in Irish. And the events are carrying on throughout the week. So as I said, go to accessballymun.ie and have a look. And we're also hoping there will be a legacy on from this that will be able to continue to promote Irish language work and to continue to support Irish language artists. So yeah, Joey, if we dare in a Shopton, what is the one thing you'd love to get out of Scríobh and comedy? Ní small comedy, a bigger platform for it, Carla Atatu Sweenov.
I think making connections and community, as you talked about, like those Kirko covers can be really valuable. I was blown away by the video Shukra that Roxana Nicolaim premiered last night. I believe it's still available. People can kind of book in for free to view it during the week. And that made me really hopeful as well. I mean, because I know Roxana as well, and I know that she's actually been working really hard on her Irish, and she mentions in the film that she doesn't come from an Irish speaking household. So it's really amazing to see her making such confident and really inspiring work now through Irish, or kind of Doc Yangok, kind of mixed of Irish and English. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to all the conversations, and I hope that people will join us for a special Scríobh edition of Crash Test Caint on Saturday, Gestachta Club. So yeah, so we'll be one of kind of the closing events, not quite the closing event of the festival, but we would welcome everyone to come along to that.
And Hilary, agus Dennis, Ceist díobh then, if we are having this same conversation next year, it's Scríobh fehe on my ardólah look feckin in these mo on comedy Oswelga. Will we have a bigger audience? Will we have a bigger platform? Where would we like to be in a year's time? Where would you like to be?
Well, actually, I mean, it would be lovely to be in Amerklin again, but also, I mean, I think that if people were engaging and enjoying the content, we'd love to make more of it. We'd love to have maybe like a more blended approach towards what we're making. You know, I know we primarily started as a theater company, but like it's comedy at the heart of it. So I think that if that existed in a theater space or existed online, I think that would be great, because, you know, it intersects with what you said already, Joey, that like it is about community, it is about reach, it is about like actually people coming in contact with Irish in another setting outside of a school and kind of, you know, becoming more familiar with it and coming to enjoy it in a new way, I think would be great. Like that's what I would like to, well, you know, to be honest, guys, I don't want to be on Zoom again this week next year. I hope that like things have moved on a little bit, but some things went wrong vaccine wise, if that's where we are. But yeah, I mean, for us as a company, that's where I would like to be. I'm sure Hilary has some other great things that she would like to accomplish too, which are.
Thank you for that beautiful and touching introduction, Dennis. I would actually, Aintiam Gahilla is Gahumlan. I would completely agree actually with all that Dennis has pitched. I think it would be fantastic to be in St. Arklan, as Joey also said. But I would hope that we could have maybe a tarrant Nislachna, so like a wider appeal, because hopefully all of these, you know, fantastic new audience members that we've reached with our online content would hope to also come to the theatre. And again, that blended approach and that community-led approach. Yeah, very much so. I just want to shout out to Roxana Nicolaim as well, because she did also a fantastic job. And I was like, yes, she did. She
was brilliant, really brilliant. Yeah. So must well do brand new area shot bio. If you're watching this live now on Facebook, you can head straight over to the Access Access website, and you can book yourself a ticket, and it's available to view now, and it will stay available for a week. That's Shukra by Roxana Nicolaim. And we'll actually, I think later on, be making that available without a ticket, so that you can just watch it and share it by Facebook or YouTube once we've kind of gotten over our lovely premiere. So lads, Gurmina Magwave, I'm going to ask you to hang on after I end the live stream so we can chat ourselves, because Hilary, but while I'm just couple the recommendations firsties in the comments for anybody who wants to know what Hilary had been recommending there, that we can put them in the comments. But Gurmina Magwave as Lynn and Nook, I hope that you get to join us for some other aspects of the festival in Seachtaine. Agus tá méid súil go mór lena cuid eile de sketchamini echo. All right, lads. Slán.
On.